In this video, we're going to go through some simple tools for unwrapping our 3D models. We're not worried about sticking in the UV space. We're unwrapping these with the idea that we're going to be working with tileable materials and trying to keep a consistent textile density and make sure that our UVs are not stretched in any way. So I'm going to start with this basic cube. And the first thing I want to do to kind of help with this is I do want to kind of apply a material to this so that we can kind of see our map a little bit better. So if you've never applied a material that has an image before, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to right click, assign a new material, and we can just stick with the Lambert. That's perfectly fine. Let me make sure I rename this. I'm going to call it example UV checker. And we've worked before where we come in and we change the color and everything, and that's kind of fun. But what if we actually wanted to put a nice square image on here that is a power of 2, like you've encountered working in 116 with Substance Painter and all that. To do that, over here, rather than choose the color, we're going to click on this little box right here, the little checker box. And it gives us some new options in there other than just color. The one that we want to choose is going to be this file one. This will allow us to put an image file on our UV space. So I'm going to click it. We do have to then come over here and click the little file icon so that we can locate that image. And I do have this one, UV checker. That's this nice kind of rainbow checkerboard pattern that can be really useful for unwrapping. And once we do that, we should see it on our object. If you don't see your object, you see the texture on there, most likely you need to turn it on in your viewport, which is this little button right here, the little checkered circle. It says textured. If that is not clicked on, make sure you click it on. If this one is accidentally clicked on, the half one, make sure it's clicked off. So you should just have the little blue box checked and this full circle with all that's fully full of checkers checked on to see your texture. All right, let's take a look at the UV editor and see what the UVs on here look like. To find it, you go underneath UV and it's this UV editor. This might be a handy one if you are creating a extra shelf, your custom shelf. I do add it to my custom shelf since I am constantly turning it on and off. So that's just UV editor. I recommend making a little icon on your custom shelf. So in order to see it, we do need to select our object. So I'm going to click on my cube and we can see that we can see the image now and we see our UVs. All the primitives usually by default will have UVs already there. You might encounter situations though where there aren't any UVs, they've been deleted. So if that pattern kind of bothers you, like this is very distracting, it can be really hard for me to see those UVs if I'm not really needing to use it yet. So I can always click this icon here to turn it off so I can see those UVs better. So the UV toolkit is right here. If you don't see it, you might have to go underneath, let's see, view. Nope, sorry, I always lose it. Tools, and you'll see show UV toolkit right here. Very similar. We have our vertices, we have our edges, and we have our faces. But there's two other ways that we can select. This UV selection as well as the UV shell. A UV shell is just a clump of UVs that are welded together. So all of these are connecting in some way. So I can select the whole thing as a UV shell. We can also come in and select our edges and we can move them around and we can see it affect this. So, it's squished. It's not enough. Same thing with our faces. We could select a face and move it around. The vertex one is very tricky and it's not quite how you think it is. So if I click on this vertex here, notice it's actually selecting two of them and it will move both of them around. That is because this vertex is here, but it's also here because these faces share a vertice. This one and this one. Right here. So if we were to kind of fold this together, those two would be touching and they would be connected, but they are not in this situation. But if we select them, it's going to move both of them. So what do you do if you do need to just move one and not both of them? That's where this tool comes in, this UV selection. We could use that to select a single vertice on here and move that independently of the other one. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the different ways to select. The transform tools work the same. So we have obviously our move. We also have our rotate. And we have a scale. So we can scale these as well. What if we don't want these all connected? What if we need to break them apart? That is a really easy shortcut key that I would recommend that you memorize. If you don't memorize a lot of shortcut keys, this one is probably one of the more handier ones. Like let's say I want to break this off to its own thing. We can locate that underneath, let's see, where is it? Right here, cut so. Create UV shell, Control Shift X. We can also right click and go underneath face, go to cut show, create UV shell. Control Shift X is the shortcut key and we use that a lot, so it might be handy to memorize that. But once I do that, notice it is its own UV island now. It's a little bit easier to see, like this is a UV island, this is a UV island, now this is a UV island. So I can place this independently on here. Think of it again, we have a cardboard box and we just cut one of the flaps off so we can move it away from that folded up piece. What if we didn't mean to do that? What if we wanted to put it back on there? We can do this with a stitch. So I'm going to select with, go to edge select. I'm going to click on this edge. Notice it's also highlighting over here because these edges are related to each other. This is where, this one and this one is this here. It's just that this polygon and this polygon share an edge, but we split them apart on our UVs. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to go underneath cut sew, and I'm going to do a move and sew. And what it's going to do is if there is another edge related to the one I selected, it's going to find it and it's going to move it and stitch it back together. I'm going to also stitch this one back together. Another method you can do is you can select it, right click, do a cut sew, move and sew. So we can easily then come in, Control Shift X, and we could, Control Shift X, break this apart into its own spaces. We could line them up any way we want. Like maybe we want to put them this way for some reason. We can arrange them this way. What if we do want to connect them up on the edges though? Like we could come in here and select that, cut sew, move and sew, cut sew, move and sew. Oh no, that was kind of, oh, I don't want it there. That's not what I'm trying to go for. Let's go here. Oh no, that's connected to that one. Let's do this one. Cut sew, move and sew. And there we go. Cut sew, move and sew. It is okay for what we're doing this week if they do overlap each other. We aren't taking these into Painter. We don't need to have unique things on them. So if we did want to have them like this, like there's no harm in this. This would not work well if we were planning to take this into Substance Painter for a variety of reasons that we'll cover in another week. Okay, I have some issues though. Notice that this is upside down. I probably don't want it to look like that. That looks really strange. There are a lot of transform tools to kind of help you organize these a little bit better. So for instance, underneath tools down here, we have this rotate that is like an automatic rotate. So I can easily rotate this around by just clicking. I don't have to eyeball it. Ooh, this one is also rotated kind of weird, but oh, I guess that's kind of the way it's going to be. Let's rotate it once like that. There. Nope, upside down. I always choose the wrong one. There we go. This one over here. That one is the correct way. Oh wait, no, it's not. I was looking at that 6. Let's rotate it around. There we go. Now, what if we need to set its textile density? We kind of organized it nicely. We have things going the right way, but we want to make sure that we have a consistent textile density. So for this textile density, I'm going to use one of a 10.24 on a 2048 map. I'm going to look over here underneath transform. All the way down here, our textile density. And this is set already to 10.24 on a map size of 1024. This means that if we had a 100 by 100 centimeter plane, a 1024 image would fit perfectly on it. So it would the 100 centimeter plane would take up the entire UV space, and that would be its resolution. So I'm going to highlight all these. I'm going to set its textile density to that same one. There we go. It scaled them all up so that they are consistent. Okay, so basics of UV unwrapping. I'm going to have another video where I go into a little more detail with some other tools. So hopefully you watch that one as well and practice these on your own.